So let's get started. Could everyone take a sticky note, index card, something, whatever's on the table in front of you, and take a moment to answer this question.
What's one word that comes to mind for you when you hear the word agile?
And it's just one word.
One word.
You can put a hyphen if you really want to. But so a lot of people call it a philosophy, a mindset. A lot of other people call it a process, a framework, a methodology. You hear that all the time, right? And it's interesting because the way we view it is Agile is actually not a process, not a framework, not a methodology. It is a mindset. It is a way of thinking about work. It's a way of, it's not just a way of thinking, it's your established set of attitudes and behaviors and habits when it comes to actually doing work. So to take a step back, here's a very simple view of work, all right? So you start with some state, you have this, you want to build something, you want to change something, you want to do something at the end, and work takes you from here to here. Very simple. You usually plan it out, you break down the work, and you put the necessary resources, people, money, tools, schedule, whatever it is, to get to this desired end state, and congratulations, you get your rewards at the end. Make sense? All right. So what we're going to take a look at is just a little bit of what happens here around change and really the nature of that. And I'm going to show you guys a very short 10-second video, and then we'll continue from that point. Sometimes, I don't know about you guys, but it feels like that sometimes. Has anyone seen this slide before? Yeah. We all know it? Should I skip it? Let me go over it just for a minute here. This is what the customer explained that they wanted. This is how the project leader understood it. And if you're in this position, I mean no offense to you, this is how the picture is designed. Analysts designed this. No offense again to programmers, but this is very real. Business consultants can sell anything. That's you're using it? Okay. Well, here's a little narrative you can use. Documentation looked like this. And if you're in the federal space, it's a forest. Operations installed this. The customer was built for a roller coaster, not a swing. Support looked like this, and this is what the customer really needed. So we look at this picture. Many of us have seen it before. We get a laugh. But there's something really serious here. I mean, there is no reward at the end of this work. I need to fire someone, right? Because this turned out to be this. So there's someone at fault here. So who do we fire? Project manager. I hear the customer a lot, but that doesn't work. They fire you first. Let's take a look at this. Could it be everyone's fault? Is it everyone's fault? Is it no one's fault? Something happened. You guys agree? What happened? Where's the mistake here? Who's at fault? What could we have done to avoid this? That's the real question we want to ask. What could we have done to avoid this? And involve the user early on. So, I mean, the user was there. Now, here's my version of this story. Folks, meet Bob. Bob has a problem. Bob knows what a swing is. All right? He's used it. His kids play on it. But Bob suddenly has this new problem where he needs a swing for 3 kids. So Bob thought about this a lot, and he said, well, all I know is a swing, so a swing for 3 kids must look like this. So that's the requirements he gave and everything else. Guess what? Bob has never seen a tire swing in his life. So if Bob has never seen a tire swing in his life, how could he ask for it? All he could ask for is the closest thing that he knows, plus plus. Right? So that's my version of this story, that here, Bob knows what a swing is. So when giving the requirements, he said, well, I need a swing, but for 3 kids. But he never saw a tire swing. Now, as soon as Bob knows about a tire swing, what happens? He asks for it. So let's pause here and think about this notion of knowledge work. Does anyone know what knowledge work is? Go ahead.
Well, I think it's the modern age programming, so, yeah.
Excellent. As opposed to task work, right? So if you look at sort of task work, this is where someone will tell you go do something, your mind is almost shut and you're just doing it, right? But knowledge work entails that the person doing it is actually thinking. A knowledge worker is someone who thinks as part of their job. And here's the interesting thing, that we're in a constant state of discovery, right? So Bob here discovered that it's a tire swing, that there is something called a tire swing, which changed his understanding of what he wants. Does that make sense? Now, if we look at knowledge work in general, we're in a constant state of discovery, which means, to this table's point, we're in a constant state of changing our understanding of what we want. Has anyone in this room ever written an article? Show of hands. For school, at some point, even a long email would do. Okay, all right, great.
Nobody's ever written those.
If you've ever written something lengthy, you would know that it's really hard to just write it once and send it out, right? Because once you reread it, what happens? You discover certain things. You discover that you don't like how this sentence sounds. You discover there's a better way to write this paragraph. And so that changes your understanding of how to write it. True? Now, you could keep going at this cycle forever. If you've written a longer article, a book or something, if I gave you no deadline, Ken, you could keep going at it till the end of time. Why? Because every time you read it, you'll find a better way of writing it. Does that make sense? So we're in this constant state of discovery. And there's a word that sort of summarizes this, and it's called ICAgile. Has anyone heard of this before? ICAgile. I'll know it when I see it. And that really summarizes knowledge work in general. That you can try to plan up front for it as much as you want. But really you'll know it when you see it, and it's a little more than that even. It's really when you experience it. Because I could show you the article, but when you read it and you really experience it and you go through it, that's when you start to know more of what you want. So here's the challenge, that we'll keep discovering more about it the more we work on it. So in that old model of work, once I have a desired state, the work is supposed to get me to the desired state so that I can get my reward at the end. But the reality right now is the desired state keeps moving. It's in a constant state of change, motion, flux. Call it whatever you want to call it. So when do I get my reward? I could never be done. It just keeps coming. The question is, are you going to try and freeze this thing so that you can get to it? Or is the work going to follow?